Hi, everyone. Oh my God, I'm so excited to see that the chat is hopping already. Thank you guys for tuning in to this late edition of Live Coffee Chat. Good morning, or mid-morning, or afternoon, wherever you are in this world. What is your choice of drink this morning? Are you on your second cup of coffee? Have you switched on to something stronger? Please share. That's the important question that we start off with before we move on into Star Wars lore news and the novel that we're going to talk about. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and shout out to everybody in here that's been waiting on me to get into the live stream. Tracy XL, good morning. Or Trace, sorry. GFan84, good morning. Selena, good morning. Grumpy old man, well, hello, good morning. I hope that you have something to drink and that you're not feeling too grumpy. But if that's your thing, then I hope you feel very grumpy today. All right. Soul Assassin, thank you again for coming in and supporting. La Reina, one of the queens here. Good morning, darling. Good morning. And how are you? And Grandmaster Luke Skywalker. Good morning. I hope you have your hot chocolate ready to go. All right, so let's see what's going on in the chat. Many of you guys know that the Clone Wars, the trailer of the Clone Wars came out for the last episode or the last season, sorry. And so we might discuss that in a little bit here. Also, we're going to discuss the novels. Ichibaka shared with me a link about the legend novels that are basically #1 sellers on Amazon for Star Wars. And that's a no-brainer. That's where the classic Star Wars is, and that's what we want. So we're going to go over that as well. And on top of that, discuss Bloodlines, because there's a lot to discuss in that novel. Whether you like Boba Fett or not, or whether you're interested in see the direction Luke Skywalker is going with this Dark Mountain conflict that's going on, or Jason Solo. We're going to have fun discussing that and listening to some clips. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Let's see. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Luke Skywalker, Grandmaster of the Jedi Order. Good morning. All right, Trace XL, hard black coffee. All right, you like that strong, huh? GFan84. Hello, Dark Sumatra. Awesome. Mine's Folgers again. I also had a cappuccino this morning. I had important stuff to take care of. That's why I pushed coffee chat to 10:30. La Reina, cherry lemonade soda here. Ooh, that sounds good. I'm not a soda drinker anymore, but cherry lemonade sounds really good. Lunchtime, so a soda. Awesome. Yes, good morning. Nothing personal. No, I understand, Mr. Grumpy Old Man. I understand. All right. I love this. So peaceful. Hot chocolate is at the ready. Awesome. Lunch and fire. Gotta go. Whoops. Yeah, don't burn down your house. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing whatsoever. Let's see here. Cherry lemonade is really good. Not sure about it as a soda, but definitely like the juice version. Yeah, sodas, I mean, I don't drink sodas anymore. But I used to be a big Pepsi fan. 14 years ago, I gave it up and haven't drank soda since. So I can't really give you an opinion on that, but the lemonade sounds really good, sounds refreshing. Even tea does at times. Like, I like my tea kind of sweetened, sometimes with no sugar whatsoever, but I like my tea lightly sweetened when I drink tea. According to Christy, hello. You know what? I need to make my gals mods here, so I'm going to do that as well. So how many of you guys seen the Clone Wars trailer? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put up this little interesting bit that Campia talks that I got on Twitter, and I shared on my Twitter page. And hi, Stig. And I think it's kind of funny, and I kind of agree with him to a point, and we'll go further in that. And with Clone Wars, it's something that people get very heated about if someone says they don't like the direction it's going, or something that they don't like about it, or they don't care for Filoni. And I'm not here to start a controversy with that. We all have our opinions about it. It's one of the better things now that's in Disney Star Wars, and we can all agree to that. And so we'll just leave it at that. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the clone, that little clip from Campia that I wanted to share. It's so funny. You know, we get to see him break down, or have a breakdown about it. All right, Trace XL. Oh yeah, man, we need a way to send things through the internet, because that sounds awesome. Wouldn't that be great if we could just like, okay, here, you never know, in the future, we might be able to teleport things like that. Frank Hernandez. Good morning, Alor. It's 2:35 a.m. here in Manila. Sorry. I have my glasses on and I can't even read. Oh, I used to have my glasses on. How do you like them? I normally don't keep them on for this. Sith Lord Felix, good morning. I've seen it, but would you talk about it some more in regards to Clone Wars? Yeah, we can discuss that a little bit more. We'll go do that. My glasses are cool. Thank you. Teleport me a sandwich. Stig needs something to eat. Someone needs to go cook something for him. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to share. Let me see here. Chrome tab. All right. All right, so here it is.
The one thing that pissed me off.
Why is my computer flickering?
First of all, Dave Filoni continues with his incredible masturbatory self-obsession with this Ahsoka Tano character. Listen, I don't mind Clone Wars. I don't hate Clone Wars. All right? There are some things about it that I enjoy. When they showed that Darth Maul and Ahsoka Tano were going to have a big showdown, if Dave Filoni dares have this freaking little self-masturbatory fantasy girl that he created in his head beat Darth Maul,
that's hilarious.
I'm officially full-blown fuck Dave Filoni. If he has his little self-important little masturbatory project, Ahsoka Tano beat Darth Maul, I am officially full-blown fuck Dave Filoni.
What if they
I'm not there. I'm not there yet. I like Dave Filoni. I've met Dave Filoni. He's a cool dude, huge Star Wars fan. But if he has his little pet science project come in and beat Darth Maul, screw him. Like, totally screw him. But if he just straight up has his own little Star Wars creation beat Darth Maul, I'm gonna be so butthurt as a Star Wars fan. I'm gonna be so butthurt.
Okay, so this freaking cracked me up. Okay, so I kind of get his point about Filoni loving that character. She's well developed, way better developed than Rey. And I get that, you know, she is in the forefront of the Clone Wars more so than Anakin, who that should be. But I mean, his breakdown is hilarious. He's like this masturbatory, so he goes to that. And but it's a no-brainer. Filoni is gonna use his beloved character that is a hit with the fan. That's the no-brainer. Whether you like her or not, that's the direction he's gonna go. And so what do you guys think about this? I'm going to go ahead and see if there's anybody's thoughts on here. Ahsoka did fight Vader in a draw too. Campy is right. Ahsoka is a Mary Sue. And I think in a sense, she's becoming more powerful and stuff because of the fact that he likes her. That's his character. That's his baby. Just like Luke was George Lucas's baby in a sense. And so, but her dueling Maul, we have no reason to know why right now. And I was kind of off put about that too, but you know, we'll see how that goes. It feels like Maul's dueling everybody these days, you know, and so we'll see how that goes. All right. Let's see here. He wouldn't say that type of thing before Rise of Skywalker. And that's the thing too. But I mean, after the Disney trilogy got over and it was such a clusterfuck, I don't mind someone changing their mind about the direction Disney's taken Star Wars, because that's evidence the bullshit nihilism that they're putting into Star Wars. Make sure to hit the like button. Yes, what he said. Yes, and like I said, we do have Ahsoka fans in here, and that's fine. And we're going to have our own favorite characters, and then we're going to have characters that we don't care for as much. The new episodes were written years ago, so Filoni didn't add anything to it just now. And we'll see how that goes as well, because they might have got tweaked up for the new canon. So they might have got rewritten slightly. So we don't know the extent of it, how pure it's going to be from the original, one that was supposed to air before Disney bought it, or right when Disney bought it and they canceled Clone Wars for a time being. So we shall see what comes of that. And would we know? Maybe, maybe not. Ahsoka is not a Mary Sue. She has gotten her ass kicked. And that's what I'm saying. She is better than Rey in a sense, because she is developed already. And she even got kicked out of the Jedi Order. Well, was getting kicked out and then left the Jedi Order. So, I mean, there's a huge difference in that. It watered down Maul's character a lot. He used to be powerful Sith assassin. Correct. Even against Vader, she basically escaped with her life, and she did not beat Vader. Well, that's another thing. Vader is the chosen one. He was created by the Force, so I expect that to happen. However, not with Maul. So we'll see. And I almost just want to watch it just to kind of do reviews on it, even though I'm not a big fan of the Clone Wars. I love Clone Wars, Chartavosky's Clone Wars. All right. Just started watching the Clone Wars, and I like Ahsoka's character already. I missed the one when it was new, but it's pretty good. All right, let's see what Grandmaster has to say. Well, she wasn't well liked in the beginning. She sort of developed over time, and that's the thing, is that there's character development which made people like her, and so I do not agree. I do agree with that portion, is that she got developed well along the line, and then also too, she kind of was put in the forefront, kind of shadowing Anakin in a sense as well. So I get people's qualms with that as well. Maul gets destroyed when he begged and cried like a little girl when Palpy beat him in the Clone Wars. Maul is a pussy now. Yeah. So what do you guys think? I'm going to go ahead and let me see here. Get myself out of this. I am going to invite someone in here if they're willing to come in. I'm sending a link to someone. Here we go. If he can. All right. So we can discuss this a little bit more. All right, let's see here. Let's see what you guys have to say on this. Okay, Frank Hernandez, I'm more worried about Mando season 2 wanting to put more explaining the Palpatine stuff. And that's the thing, is that right now, Disney put themselves in the corner with the Disney trilogy, or the sequel trilogy. And so now they're, instead of having an expanded universe, they're going to have an explain universe, because I need so many source materials now to explain why they went through that direction. George Lucas never had to do that. I did not have to get into the expanded universe to figure out what was going on in the movies. I already had a good idea. I got into the expanded universe because I wanted to see what was going on with the heroes after the movies, what's developed after, not to make up from what I did not understand in the movies. And that's a huge difference. And that's a turnoff for a lot of fans. And they want to cater to casual moviegoers. Casual moviegoers are not going to go and read up about why Palpatine came back, or why did he survive? How did he get out of the Death Star alive? bringing Maul back in the first place, I think, was a mistake, but they did wrap him up pretty good in Rebels. And that's the thing, is that bringing Maul back, he's never been an absolute favorite character of mine, but I love his arc in the Phantom Menace, and and what it symbolizes as, and it helped develop Palpatine a little bit more on what he was creating, and and especially Plagueis as well. And so I get it. But now everybody can come back. And so when it comes to a Maul coming back, and of course he got chopped in half, we see Snoke getting chopped in half as well. So why couldn't have Snoke come back like that? I mean, so there's so many things that people think about now. They're like, well, if they did it this way, why didn't this other character survive? Or why couldn't he have come back? All right. Maul was born and bred to kill Jedi. It was his entire function. Ahsoka should be dead within minutes. You would think. I mean, Stig just got done reading the novelization, the Maul novelization. So we were discussing a little bit, because I never really got into that novel, because I've never been a big fan of Maul, but I do need to get into that, just so I have more. I can expand my knowledge and share a little bit more and get more in depth with him as well in a discussion. Okay. Maul held his own against Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, but had his ass handed to him by Ahsoka. She had a bit overpowered for that in my book. You want Clone Wars? Go with Dark Horse Republic Comics. Mandalore, the mental is correct. Okay, Trace XL. Yeah, I can certainly see that. Maul was supposed to be terrifying. His appearance to Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon near the end of episode 1, when you first see him use both blades. Is that both? Yeah, of his saber said it all. Okay. Yeah, so he was supposed to be that hidden threat, that Sith, and the Jedi, learn that the Sith are back. And so in a sense, I wouldn't say he was a cover-up for Palpatine, but it left the Jedi confused. So there was a lot of purpose for him in the Phantom Menace, coming out and dueling Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. And it also set up the story for Obi-Wan taking on Anakin to train. And so in a sense, bringing him back, I mean, yeah, he was a great character for the use that he was developed for. And we can also say that for Boba Fett. There's a lot of Boba Fett fans as well. He was great for the plot. So there's going to be people on the fence about Boba Fett as well, returning back into the lore as well. And the same with Maul. And I don't know if we could compare the two or not. I can pop in if you have room. Yes, I'll send you a request. Let me see here. It's coming, Stig. All right. And this is going to turn into a Maul discussion a little bit. All right. So it's sent. I also sent one to 19K Fox. If you're still around, you can come join. Okay. Lucas used ideas from the EU in the prequels and didn't change those things. Filoni takes and changes. And that's the thing too. And that's why I don't care for Filoni that much, is because there has been changes. Why, hello, Mr. Stig Kenobi. How are you doing?
Hello there.
Hello there.
I just finished eating breakfast.
Oh, nice. All right.
Had some chicken leftovers.
Oh, nice. I was thinking about having pizza for breakfast. The breakfast of champions.
Yeah. Epic.
Yes. All right. So, Stig, since you read the novelization of Maul, so go ahead and share with us a little bit more about that in your opinion and your explanation about his development.
That one takes place just before episode 1.
Okay.
Maul and Kenobi have some near mall experiences. They almost
Hmm.
run into each other.
Yeah.
Maul is chasing a Sith holocron that some smuggler guy has gotten
Hmm.
hold of. So it reminded me of Terminator 1
Okay.
because he's constantly chasing the
Yeah.
person and killing everyone who's in contact with it, every
Okay.
witness, everything. And the smuggler runs into a Jedi Padawan named Darsha Asan.
Okay.
I think that was her name. And Maul gets her master, who was a sword master actually,
Oh.
killed, and he's basically just terminating his way through the story.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was a very very good book. Um, a lot of the EU books are a bit up and down,
Hmm.
but this one was solid.
Okay.
So if you like Maul, go read that one. It's called Darth Maul Shadowhunter.
Yeah.
You gave it an 8 out of 10, I think.
Nice. And I know you're very strict about your ratings as well. I know that for a fact. Yeah.
Yeah,
And like I said, I never been a huge Maul fan. I get his purpose for the Phantom Menace and stuff. So I kind of avoided that book. Shame on me, shame on the Legends gal for doing that. So, but I will pick it up and I will do a review on the book. Now, Stig, what is okay, so what is your feeling about Maul being reintroduced back into the canon, starting with Rebels and all the way forward? What do you think about that? Do you think it's just nostalgia purposes? Do you think it's
yeah.
something that it can be expanded on? What is your thoughts?
No, I think Filoni just did it to score viewers
Hmm.
because there's no good explanation to why Maul survived.
Yeah,
He gets chopped in half. Sure, you can survive that,
yeah.
but not after falling down a kilometer and then managing to, I guess, crawl off Naboo without any medical aid.
Hmm.
That's too much. And then later he dies from a stab to the stomach.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
what do you think about him being introduced in Solo?
Uh, that was done by a mistake, actually. Because
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
elaborate.
yeah. Because I read an interview with Ron Howard,
Okay.
and he had been hired to basically fix the movie,
Yeah.
and he had contacted the story group to find out who Kira was working for,
Yeah.
and they didn't know. The
Of
story
course.
group, whose job it is to know, did not
Yeah.
know. So he just put Maul in there.
Just
Was just
randomly pick, I
yeah,
choose
yeah,
you.
yeah. He just picked Maul because fans would recognize him.
Yeah.
Should have
That
picked
would be
Jabba. Should have picked Jabba because that would have set up a sequel that would lead into episode 4, right?
exactly. That's what everybody was expecting. And even, I do keep an eye on Disney canon, Disney Star Wars because of my platform. However, I'm not a fan of it. I like to compare and contrast. So watching Solo being developed, all the BS behind the scenes and switching directors, last minute, 80% reshoot kind of deal, same like with Rogue One. I mean, Disney is just such a mess when it comes to Star Wars. Um, and seeing that, people are like, oh, well, we're going to see Jabba in there. That would have been a great addition because they are just like the Han Solo trilogy. They are coming up on the original trilogy where you expect to see something familiar and something that's going to take you into and link that with the original trilogy.
Yeah, they could have had all kinds of gangsters being in that
Mm-hmm.
movie. They could have had Bosk, Boba Fett,
Mm-hmm.
because they're all in Solo's little world, right? Crime world.
Exactly.
But instead, they just introduce new stuff, and they keep doing that, which is fine. But you need to flesh them out. They
Mm-hmm.
also killed off Aura Singh, who was an EU favorite. She got
Yeah.
killed off in just like a side note. Woody
Mm-hmm.
Harrelson threw her out the window.
Yeah.
You know,
They love killing off original lore
yeah,
characters. Just
strong
toss
female
them aside.
character, strong female character too.
Exactly. And they're like, there's
Yeah,
no strong female characters. Toss them to
nah,
the side.
yeah, toss them out the window.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. And so this is
It's
where I
like
kind of,
it's
huh?
it's like Woody bouncing out some unruly guest from Cheers.
I know when you see Woody, what do you think of Cheers?
Yeah, you had too much to drink. Out you go.
Yeah, bye, see ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're too drunk for this.
Oh,
Hello, Ricky Critic. How are you doing? Good morning. All right. And so when you look at when you look at the Solo movie and then you look at Rebels where Obi-Wan kills Maul, it makes you wonder what is the timeline with that between the two because you have Han Solo basically how many years before the OT? Let me look that up.
unsure. Maybe 10.
And then compared to how many years with Maul and Obi-Wan fighting? Let me see if this is on here. I have the timeline here. Let me see if they share it, and I'll share it.
Probably around the same time. It's probably just when Maul got off the phone call. Kenobi killed him.
He's like, I'm off to Tatooine. Bye.
Yeah. Call you
Go
back.
here, Jabba. Okay, let's see here. I am looking right now. Okay, so Solo. I mean, but Disney Canon is such a mess. Did you guys see, and people in the chat, did you guys see that the Disney comics for Star Wars basically says Palpatine's dead, but then the movie says that he survived?
Yeah, I think someone posted a Reddit leak thing
Mm-hmm.
that said that Kathleen Kennedy and her cronies had started messing with the movie in October,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when Palpatine got added.
Wow.
Because where's Matt Smith? Right, he was supposed to be an important character in the movie,
Uh-huh.
and they just removed him. I think a month ago from the cast list. So who knows?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so, like I'm still looking at it. There's a lot of going on they're starting to add a lot of to the timeline in the classic era of Star Wars when it comes to Disney. So I'm trying to scroll it out. I'm trying to figure this out. I'll probably put it on Twitter. And if there's a contradiction in that, I'll probably do a little video about that because I mean I'm sorry, I like to point out all the BS that Disney's been doing and their contradiction within their own material as well, on top of, sharing the lore, the original EU lore. So
Even Rebels contradict the movies.
yeah.
'Cause in Rebels, the Rebels have like a pile of bases, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in Episode 4, it's crystal clear they have one base. It's
Yeah.
the hidden Rebel base. It's not Rebel base number 47.
Yeah. Well, even with Wedge Antilles too, him being reintroduced and how he was, it kind of takes away his arc and why he really joined the rebels in the first place because he lost his parents in an explosion from smugglers or another faction. Yeah.
Yeah, Wedge used to be a smuggler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of those Corellians were smugglers and great pilots.
Yeah.
I mean, and so, even Solo destroys Corellia in a sense to they are a prideful people and stuff.
Is there any Corellian in the old EU that isn't a smuggler? That's actually a good question.
Oh, Cornhorn.
Yeah.
He was Corsac. He
Yeah.
was Corsac.
He was a cop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rick Jewell was a Corellian smuggler too, and I think Dash Rendar.
Yes, but they were all great pilots.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something they had going for them is that they were all excellent pilots. Okay.
I think Corellia also produced a lot of the ships we see in the in the movies and in the EU.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Add moderator. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing. Do you have anything else you want to add about Maul since we're on that topic before I move on to the novelizations and talk about the novels that are being #1 sellers on Amazon?
I guess if you just need to be angry to survive anything in Star Wars, I bet you Dooku's floating head will show up because I bet he was pretty pissed too.
I can't- Dooku's floating head. Oh yeah, we're gonna get like a cyber Doku,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so basically it's gonna be his head attached to nothing but a cyborg.
yeah.
Yeah, or maybe Ray will go resurrect him.
His head atop, one of those Roger droids.
Roger, Roger.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. So, Stig, since I have you here, what is your absolute favorite novel out of the EU that you can't put down or you always revisit? And it could be a trilogy too, if you want to add the trilogy or a series.
A lot of the ones I really liked, I read more than 10 years ago.
Okay.
So they could have been good then, but maybe I won't like them now. But I did read the Kenobi novel last year for the first time. That one I thought was brilliant.
Yes. All right. Since we're going there, now I have another question for you. You're just setting yourself up for an interview going on here.
Okay.
Since you read the Kenobi, and the Kenobi is one of my most favorite novels that I always go back to and revisit.
Yeah,
because I like the direction.
Perfectly done.
Yeah, I like the direction that they took it. I like how they show how conflicted Kenobi was, and how he was trying to find his peace and his space in a galaxy that no longer has Jedi. But he kept to his mission, and he kept to his training, and he kept to the Jedi way. And I also like how they gave us a perspective and insight on the Tusken Raiders. And then we get Sharad Het and his, and his legacy and his, son's legacy, Asharad and Sharad Het, with the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah. I also like the storekeeper, Annalie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it kind of shared how, Kenobi was conflicted about like having a relationship because he knew that his mission was to protect Luke, that he had to train to become a Force ghost, which Disney totally destroys now.
Yeah, it took him years of a lot of failing.
Yeah.
And it also hints that Qui-Gon is struggling with it.
Yeah.
He's struggling with making contact with Kenobi because he can only do the voice thing. He can't become a full-blown ghost. So you'd need to be a pretty high-level Jedi Master to become a Force ghost.
And that's excuse me, and that's the very thing Disney's missing is like now you could be a Force ghost and you could be a Force ghost and everyone could be the Force ghost, just like everybody could be a Force user and everybody could be a Jedi, and it takes away that mystical special thing about the Force where only a few selected by the Force in a sense could be a Force sensitive or even a Jedi or whatever society, because we have different Force societies in the original EU, like the Angting monks. And so I'm going to touch basis on that with the novelization that that we're going to talk about with Bloodlines. And but now it's like anybody can be it, and if you have that ability now, then you can use whatever, just as long as you put your mind to it. No training needed.
Yeah, as long as someone has mentioned that, hey, Jedi can become Force ghosts. As soon as the person knows that, he knows how to do it.
Yeah.
It's just learning by hearing the name.
Mm-hmm.
No training required.
Yeah, and I posted on Twitter something that was very significant about that, and I think it was last week. And I did a quote in one of the novelizations that I've been reading for Legacy of the Force, I believe, where it's basically it was for betrayal. And basically they said, it was like Jason's thought, everybody knows about Jedi, but they've never felt them or seen them, in action. And so that really speaks volumes because it's around the same time frame that, the Disney trilogy came out where Rey's like, oh, I thought Jedi was a myth.
Yeah. And then she learned the Force the mind trick, and she never heard of it before. She just did it.
Yeah.
It took Luke 3 movies to learn that one, which is
Yeah,
6 years, I
exactly.
think.
Yeah. Yes. And so I thought that was pretty interesting because, I like me, I get people pissed off and I can care less. But people get pissed off when I post the contradictions that Disney has been doing according to the original lore. And then they say, oh, there's no source material. Well, shit, there was source material. You decided to cast it aside. And now you're making crazy sense about what Star Wars really is. And you're contradicting the movies, let alone the original EU. If you take the original EU out of it, you're still contradicting the movies.
Yeah.
So,
Even Rogue One just ripped off the EU.
oh, yeah.
I mean, Jan Ors, Jin Urso. Come on, they just changed some letters.
Yes. Hello, Sith Lord. What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, so people in the chat, what do you think about this? What do you think about what we've been discussing here? I'm pretty sure you guys most likely agree. Is there anything that I missed on contradictions or something you've seen? I've always liked to, hear from you guys as well on your points, and maybe I missed something with it. And so please share in the comments.
I spotted one in Rogue One.
Damn it, I love Rogue One. Laugh out loud.
Well, you should close your ears now, Felix. I'm about to say something which you might not like.
Yeah. And okay, before you go on, so everybody, like I said before, this is a great discussion, whether, we are going to like something about Disney, Star Wars, and there's going to be a lot of things we don't like. Let's have some respect for that. And, agree to disagree sometimes is a great way to put it, so go ahead and share.
Well, in episode 4, when Vader captures Leia, he says several transmissions were beamed aboard their ship. Right? And Leia says she's on a diplomatic mission, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
In Rogue One, Vader sees the plans getting carried physically aboard the ship. They weren't beamed on. They were beamed onto a different ship, and he followed. And then he sees Leia, and Leia knows Vader was right behind him. A bit behind her, because he's standing there, and the guy who got on board would no doubt tell her Vader was 2 meters away.
Yeah.
So that diplomatic mission bluff is probably the dumbest one in movie history.
And I did not get that fact that she was there at the battle. There should be no reason for her to be at the battle.
No.
In my perspective. And again, yes, if you're familiar with how she got the Death Star plans in the original EU, it wasn't by personal contact as she did, and she was never in full danger by Vader.
No, it was
after the fact.
It was Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors stole the Death Star plans.
Exactly.
And beamed them onto her ship.
Yes. Exactly. And she was, much closer to Tatooine. And now we have to figure out, okay, so how far close is what's that planet Scarif from Tatooine? And how did she get to Tatooine so quick? And how did Vader get from the docking area to his ship to chase her so quick?
Well, it wasn't that far behind, though. It was just like a walk to get to his ship.
Maybe.
Past a lot of dead rebels, but yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Mandalore the Mental. I love that name. Personally, I hate everything Star Wars from the Clone Wars on. I don't hate those that do, but don't show hate when I post contradictions. And that's the thing, is that, we're going to like and hate what we like and hate. And if you know the lore, you're not going to like what's going on in Disney Star Wars, or you may want to try to piece it together. There's people who sit on the fence between the two lores now, and that's perfectly fine. And there's some that are like, I just don't want nothing to do with Disney anymore. The only thing that I ask for you guys to do is respect each other's opinions, have a put out discussion or debate or whatever, and like I said, agree to disagree, but have fun with it and respect overall. And that's how I see that. So
Yeah, it's like you can attack the arguments, but don't attack the person.
exactly. Very well put. Very,
It's
very well put.
it's um, it's an old saying that if you're a fan of something, it's because you love it so much that every detail counts.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. People who are ripping into the Clone Wars or whatever it is, they do it because they love the franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
If they hated it, they wouldn't watch it.
Yes. And I like what Trey says right here. Yeah, I have no problems with people liking different things, even if I don't. And that's the thing too, as well. And so, you know, we already have trolls that are like bugging us on Facebook if we follow the EU on Facebook, and bugging us on Twitter, and really causing that separation. And even on YouTube, before I became a YouTube channel, I followed a lot of YouTube channels regarding Star Wars. And when Disney started rebooting and reinventing the story, and I started being very vocal in the comments about that, man, I got a lot of hate with that. And my thing is like, just listen to what I have to say. If we don't agree, that's fine. But don't call me bitch, slut, or whatever because I don't like it. We all love Star Wars for our own purposes and our own reason. Doesn't mean that we're less of fans.
Yeah, that's a very weak, argument. I've seen people calling someone a slut because they don't like Star Wars. So because you don't like the new Star Wars, you're sleeping around.
I guess. I don't know.
What kind of a statement is that?
Yes.
Yeah, I just watched The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm going to sleep with 5 people.
Yes, exactly.
It just makes no sense.
Yeah, maybe Rilo fans. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, no, they don't sleep with anyone.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, Frank Hernandez. Again, this disrespectful treatment from the lore and canon just proves that Kathleen Kennedy needs to be out. All right, I'm going to read this, and then we're going to show the novelization. So I'm just going to keep you hostage here with me, Kenobi.
Okay.
All right. Kylo stole one part. Han's old girlfriend stole a half of the plans, and another group stopped a part, and all 3 beamed to Leia's ship. Yes, and that's the thing is that in the original lore, they were very, very careful about the plans getting into the wrong hands. So it makes sense for them to split them up. When we see, which one was it? Was it Attack of the Clones or Revenge? Yeah, Attack of the Clones, where they show the Death Star plan. From there, Palpatine got a hold of it, and basically the plans were split up, and that makes perfect sense to do that, because I mean that was something that was going to be that's going to hold the galaxy and help Palpatine rule out of fear.
And Mandalore is spot on. There were 3 groups that stole 3 pieces of the Death Star plans.
Yeah,
which I misremembered. It wasn't just Colin Janor's. They actually just did get one part.
Yeah,
which lined up perfectly with Episode 4 because Vader said several transmissions were beamed aboard his ship. So I stand corrected, Mr. Mandalore the Mental.
Yeah. All right, Soul Assassin. I believe KK is on her way out. All right. Oh, my thing jumped. Hello. We've been getting a lot of jumps and skips with StreamYard lately. All right. They do not listen. I quit talking to them. Well, of course you got mad fun of Allure because you don't fit the blue check mark narrative, and I don't ever want to go down that path of that type of blue check mark where they think that their thing is the word and the shits. I mean, I respect some blue check mark people on Twitter, and I do follow, but there's a lot of them. I'm like, no, thank you.
I have absolutely no defense because I'm straight, male, and white.
Hey, you know what? They don't even they when they talk about toxic fandom, I'm basically a white fat male in his mama's basement crying around, a man baby.
I actually live in a basement apartment too. But it's not my mom's, okay? It's not my mom's. I rent.
It's like it's my own basement, damn it.
Yeah.
That's your defense. It's my own basement.
Yeah.
Not my
So
mama's.
I'm almost a stereotype. I'm 90%.
You're almost there. Did you hear
Yeah.
that in the chat, you guys?
Yeah. I'm just gonna have to get my mom to buy this basement apartment and let me live in it.
I know. I'll put her name on the lease so that you can fit the narrative, right?
Yeah. Oh, I should do that.
My mom owns my basement. I live in it. All right, Trace. Yes, I believe Doku had a puck with the plans. Had the puck with the plans when on Geonosis. Yes, just before he left on that cool looking ship with the sails. Yes, I remember that. And then we see at the end of Revenge of the Sith, the Death Star getting built.
So he literally had a sales pitch for that stuff.
There we go. A sales pitch. There you go. All right. Always good with those, aren't you? All right. Wookiee supremacy. If you don't understand how Disney has destroyed the existing canon, I'm sorry. I don't regard you as a real fan. They fundamentally ruined canon. You have a good point. I mean, that's the casual moviegoer. And, I probably was on a little heated discussion with a casual moviegoer on Twitter just a little while ago when I was out taking care of some stuff. And it was all about...
I see a lot of them basically copy and paste the Dark Empire example, because that one has a clone of Palpatine and he's still alive, but they don't seem to include the fact that Dark Empire was written way before the prequels, so they were written before the Chosen One was even a concept.
Yeah, and despite that,
Dark Empire doesn't fit with any canon, really.
Yeah, and if you want to defend it as part of canon or as part of not ruining the Chosen One arc, Palpatine does die. And if you are well adversed with the Plagueis novel and Plagueis, then you know that they were looking for a way to survive immortality, which is a Sith alchemy on the transferring your essence into something. And so he had clones. He had a contingency plan. Yes, we expect someone that brilliant to have a contingency plan. However, he did not survive the explosion, and this happened in such a small time frame between Jedi and so it was like 9 years or even a little bit less than that. So it's right after Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah, Leia was pregnant.
She was pregnant with Anakin. And so we get that. And so we see him have a contingency plan, but this also plays into the Skywalker legacy as a whole. Yes, Anakin brought balance by killing Palpatine. Palpatine came back as a clone through Sith alchemy, which is understandable, but it's 10 years. You still have that small time frame, not a 30-year gap where he's still alive, still coming up with new plans to rule again.
Yeah, and it was so stupid because he announced it. I'm about to attack you now. What if he's done that during Order 66? It's like, hey, Jedis, all the clones are about to shoot you. Goodbye, I'm winning. Not very bright.
Yeah. All right, Jefferson, I made it at work. Got my espresso and ready to go, ready to listen while I draw. Awesome. I love it that you're listening and drawing. I'm an artist. I love geeking out on all that stuff. But yeah, so basically on back to Dark Empire versus Rise of Skywalker, even having him survive that many years is it takes away from from the Chosen One, and having now a Palpatine heir and her taking the name ruins the Skywalker legacy as well. And I'm not really here to discuss all of this because I wanted to talk more about the lore, but that was something I was discussing earlier this morning. And it's a no-brainer. We have the Skywalker twins fulfilling their family's legacy of creating balance and maintaining balance. And I think that's what the Force had intended. If you go more into the lore of the original EU, now having a non-Skywalker who's a Palpatine do this and take away the legacy of the Skywalkers and of Anakin, that totally contradicts the 6 movies.
Yeah, and you can actually remove every scene with Luke and Kenobi and Yoda and all that, and it won't affect the outcome because a Palpatine defeated a Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
Skywalker family was not important at all.
No, it makes them irrelevant overall. And that's what got me into Star Wars was Luke Skywalker and his journey, and then finding out about Vader and who he is, and then him becoming him being Anakin and becoming the chosen one, and how he had to, and Tatooine Ghost, and this is going to be a good segue into the novels that I'm going to present that are top sellers. But Tatooine Ghost, basically Han, and this is brilliant, Han helps Leia come into terms of who she is and her Skywalker legacy and accepting her father. And through her journey in Tatooine Ghost, and this is a little bit of spoilers, and if you guys in the chat have not read Tatooine Ghost, do it. But she gets the journal from Shmi that she dropped when she was kidnapped by Tusken Raiders. And so Leia gets to see what her grandmother looks like and gets to hear her love and compassion about Anakin as a boy. And she gets to meet Anakin's friends that are still living on Tatooine. Now, of course, they're now elders. And so she gets to see firsthand and hear firsthand the legacy that her father left behind. And she also feels, once she goes to that Tusken Raider camp, she feels Shmi's force, basically not her force, but she sees the force, Shmi and how she went through, and she feels that tangible feeling that's left by Shmi and Anakin. And great compelling story. And so she's got all the stuff spinning around in her head about her father and her acceptance of who she is and him. And Han tells her, maybe it was his destiny to become Vader. And she's like, why do you say that? And he's like, because if he didn't go to the dark side and become Vader, how could he have gotten that close to defeat Palpatine?
Yeah, it's something I thought about a while ago. When Yoda says that the dark side clouds everything, so they can't just see and sense what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was a double-edged sword, because Palpatine can't sense what Vader is about to do, because Vader is consumed by the dark side, and he doesn't realize it when Vader turns on him. So the dark side is clouding that too.
Mm-hmm. And great point. And I love how Han says that to her. And Leia's like, so you forgive my father for torturing you? And he goes, in a sense, yes, I do. Because how could he have defeated him if he didn't go the path he went?
Yeah. Tatooine Ghost was a very good book. I need to reread it. It was actually translated to Norwegian. One of the few Star Wars books that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So people in the chat, please pick up that book as well. I did a review on this one already, and I don't know if I think I might have covered it a little bit in live copy chat, or maybe it was a pre-recorded before I decided to do live copy chat, but we will revisit it here soon since, Kenobi's coming out, because she does visit Kenobi's home site. And then we'll also go over the Kenobi novelization, since there are still rumors that Kenobi's coming out through Disney, and I am not holding my breath on it honoring any of Legends canon. They're not going to do it.
Episode 9 made that show pointless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kenobi is just in the desert for 20 years, watching over a kid that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Hi, Damajanai. How are you doing? Okay, so I have people coming in. We have about 16 in here. Thank you so much for everybody who are coming in. Please hit the like button, and please, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe and share this on Twitter, invite people to come in. I understand it's a work day for a lot of people. That's okay. Or revisit, whatever. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at Amazon. This was shared to me by Ichibaka on Twitter. And it's about, let me see if I can get it on here. Let's see here. The top selling novels by Disney, or not by Disney, by on Amazon here. So Disney Star Wars is dumb. All right. So the top 50 Star Wars books on Amazon, all EU, all original EU are coined legends now and not discanon. So here they are.
Are they best-selling now or of all time?
Well, they are best-selling now, but of course they're best-selling all time because a lot of them are New York bestsellers. But I think when I discuss the EU and about how relevant it is, I also pull up the link that shows that George Lucas's time, he had over 80 novels that were New York's bestsellers, and that shows how much everybody loves Star Wars. So of course, Heir to the Empire.
The Star Wars cookbook is number 4. The Wookiee cookies.
Yes. So we're going to go through this. Number 1, of course, and it's the Thrawn trilogy, the very first book, Heir to the Empire. Last Command, Dark Force Risings. Number 4 is the cookbook, which I find very funny, but it's entertaining, and heck, it's legends, okay? It's original Star Wars. Then we go to the Mandalorian
Good relations with the cookies I have.
Exactly. And then I reviewed this book already, but then we have the Mandalorian Armor, the Bounty Hunter Wars, then Shadows of the Empire. I'm surprised that it's not number 5 or higher, because Shadow of the Empires is an amazing book itself.
Yeah, the Bounty Hunter books aren't, something that EU fans talk about that much.
Well, I did do, and I'm not saying it's because of me. I would like to think it's because of me, but I did do a review on the trilogy. However, we do have the Mandalorian, out on Disney Plus, and so people are very curious about that now.
That's true.
Yes. And so then we have Slave Ship, which basically this is very Boba Fett type books here. And then Hard Merchandise. So these are the top 8 right here. And again, thank you so much, Ichibaka, for doing the legwork. And I'm also glad to share this because I am going to do the legwork probably this weekend and go back and talk more to to like Barnes and Noble's management and stuff about legends. And I'm going to check to see if they restock their legends and try to see what's going on with the selling of, our classic Star Wars in, like in major bookstores as well. Okay, so number 9, Tales of the Bounty Hunter, Star Wars book number 3. And then we have the Visual Dictionary Star Wars episode 4. So Rogue Squadron, X-Wing. Yes, X-Wings. I can't wait to get to that series. I love the X-Wing series. And of course, we have Wedge's Gamble.
I've never read the X-Wing books.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah, I've been buying them, but I'm missing 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wait until I have those.
Yeah. Do it. All right. So, and then we have episode 1. So this just is very, very telling. And I am going to tell everybody in chat, everybody who's listening, and I will say it again, I choose legends. So hashtag I choose legends. And if you buy the books that have legends, if you don't have those novels. And why I say that, and yes, the banner is tacky. And I did protest the banner at one point as well when it first started being tagged legends. But that tells Disney Star Wars what we want.
The Jedi Search, that's the one I'm reading right now.
Okay. That's a very interesting one too. Number 14, 15, again, we go back to the X-Wing series here. The Krytos trap. And so we get introduction of Corran Horn, who is my favorite Jedi, because one of my favorite Jedi, because he's proof that you don't have to have all these Force abilities to become a Jedi. That the Force, you're gifted with different types of Force abilities depending on the individual. So not everybody has the same talent.
Yeah, he's basically force power disabled in a way.
In
He
a
can't
sense.
use he can't use he can't use telekinesis.
Yeah. Okay, so we have number 16, Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina. And then we get to 17, Tales from Jabba's Palace, and book number 2, then Dark
That one is
Appointment.
that one is X-rated.
And then number 19, Champions of the Force. And then so 20, the Back to War. Again, back to the X-Wing series. And then I'm surprised that this is number 20 or 21 or high, but we do have the Courtship of Princess Leia. We have a lot of people that didn't like the direction that they took Han and Leia in this book, in a sense. And I've seen a lot of debates on that one. I'm kind of okay with it because it just shows her being conflict and doing what she trying to do what's right for herself and thinking about the New Republic as well. And then it brings us, Tenniel Joe and and Dathomir and all that. And then Luke finds, the ship that, Yoda leaves for him that has a lot of Jedi archives that he needs. And so it's compelling in a sense, but I get
think
it.
the Courtship of Princess Leia was the one that introduced the Night Sisters.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they're awesome.
Clone Wars destroyed them.
Yeah.
But I'm not going there right now. Okay. All right. The Paradise Snare. So here we go. Han Solo trilogy, the true Han Solo story right there. Paradise Snare. And then Darksaber, which I'm kind of surprised that it's higher than it should be, but that's just my take.
That one was cheesy.
Yeah. Yes. And then the Solo Command here. So X-Wing Solo Command, which is another great read. Han Solo gets a great arc in that one as well. And then we have the essential vehicles here. That's one I don't have. I like to keep all these reading companion type things. So I need to get that one. But they do update before Disney had acquiesced them. There are some updates to some of those companions. Then of course we go back to X-Wing number, for number 26, 27, incredible cross section of Star Wars. So another companion there. Then we have Rebel Dawn, Han Solo trilogy, back to an X-Wing, Iron Fist, number 29, 30. We have the Hutt Gambit, 31, Jedi Apprentice. So this one right here. And then this one doesn't have number 32, Heir to the Force, Star Wars Young Jedi Knights book, number 1. That one doesn't have a picture. Then we go back to the X-Wing series again. Isard's Revenge, number 33, 34. Then we go to Dark Rival. And then, so there's a lot of post Return of the Jedi books that are making the list here. And I see why people are wanting better storytelling. They want their Luke that we know and love.
You know what I noticed? I've been buying EU books on eBay, right?
Yeah.
And every time I see one of the new canon books, they're like 30% off on eBay.
Yeah.
They can't get rid of them. Nobody's buying them. No, nobody wants to buy them on eBay because they keep lowering the prices for the new books on eBay. Oh. None of the EU books have a 30% off or something. It's it's Aftermath and Bloodlines and stuff like that. The new canon stuff, they're 30% off all the time. So it's like 30% off $5.
Yeah.
Hardcovers.
Wow. People hear that. Go buy hardcovers. Go get those hardcovers, you guys. Do it.
No, I mean the new canon books are on sale on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
In hardcover because nobody wants them.
Wow.
They can't even sell them on eBay.
All right, so let's go on. What was I at? Okay, so number 35, Star Wars, the essential weapon and technology, another companion there. 36, the droids companion. Then we go back into the PT era here, Phantom Menace. And then number 38, the New Rebellion Star Wars book. Number 39, Young Jedi Knights. So we have our twins here. And number 40, The Art of Star Wars episode 4 or 5. And then number 41, Star Wars, Making of Star Wars episode 1. And Tales from the Empire, Star Wars Legends, number 42, 43. Shadow of Center Point, Showdown at Center Point. Jeez, I know I can read. I should just put my glasses back on, right? So that's a good one. The Corellian trilogy is another good one too, and it center points, the Solo family more than anything else. And we do have Mara Jade in there, so if you're a Mara Jade fan, she is in there. Then we get to Dark Empire 2, which we were talking about earlier. Number 45, The Lost Ones. And number 46, we have Assault at Salonia, that's part of the Corellia trilogy. 47, Star Wars action figures archive. That's very interesting because if people are even wanting to learn more about the legends and our old classic characters and action figures. So that speaks volumes right there, you guys. That speaks a lot of volumes there. Hi, Midnight Edge. All right, 48, Diversity Alliance. Oh, that's interesting. Diversity Alliance, because, before Disney, there was no diversity.
Yeah. I was reading the first of the Callista trilogy.
Yeah.
That one has a black stormtrooper in it.
Mm-hmm.
Disney didn't introduce that.
Just like in the Legacy of the Force series, we have Mandalorians, and one was a Jedi, and they're a gay couple.
Yeah.
But it wasn't put in your face.
Yeah, and that one of the gay guys was really important because he taught Jaina how to fight Jedi like a Mandalorian, which made her win.
And then he was a healer too. He was in one of the healers that, and healing, Force healers are very far in between. It was ability that you just didn't do. You had to have that talent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're on our last two here, and then we're going to get into the novelization Bloodlines. All right, so number 49, The Art of Star Wars episode, 4, A New Hope. And then number 50, Star Wars, The Hand of Thrawn, Spectre of the Past. And I'm surprised we didn't have Visions of the Future in there. So maybe it was 51. Who knows? But this is our countdown here to that. So let's go ahead and read the comments, and let me get out of here a little bit here, catch up with you guys, because I like to stay active with the people in the chat as well. So we do have Mr. Midnight's Edge here. How are you doing? I shouted out to you just a few minutes ago. What's your PayPal, O.G.Starwars? I'm gonna send you money for a battery for that fire detector. Laugh out loud. I know it's up in the attic. We have to take care of it. I will get it done. And thank you so much. Mr. Dystopian, I had a new essential chronological guide. It was basically my EU Bible. Yes. And howdy, O.G.Starwars and Stig. Rey and Kylo robbed us of Jaina and Darth Caedus. Yes. They robbed us of a story after Crucibles where we would have the three main characters, which would be the Sword of Jedi, Jaina Solo, Ben Skywalker, and Jagged Fell. And I always have thought and believed continuing the sequel trilogy after Crucibles left a lot of leeway of expanding all the way into Legacy, writing the new heroes in the new three that basically Han, Leia, and Luke were passing the torch down to, and keeping the original EU intact and expanding from that. There was still a lot of story to tell. Keeping EU intact, the original EU, did not hinder their creative process. It just helped build it. It helped. It would have helped kept consistency.
Yeah, they
So
could have just started episode 7 after the Crucible novel,
mm-hmm.
because Harrison Ford and Fisher, you know, and Hamill were all at the exact same age as the characters were at the end of that book. They just
Yeah.
couldn't lose. They could have just continued from there.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So I don't know how many of you guys have had a chance to watch my video on Bloodline. So I am like doing the lore review for the novels of Legacy of the Force. And I think it goes hand in hand in a sense to giving us a great Luke Skywalker story of his conflict and watching his nephew fall to the dark side, just like Disney was trying to have us or give us. And so that's the reason why I'm doing this, is because I want to bring the goodness back into our heads and into our Star Wars fandom, and that is Legacy of the Force. It has great stories. We have Jason Solo starting to turn into Darth Caedus, becoming a Sith. We start seeing the conflict of Luke, but he did not run away and cower. He held himself where he was at, whether he could take action or not. He knew he had to be there for his Jedi Order. He knew that he had conflict. So as we go along in the story of Legacy of the Force, we will discover that. We will see how he handles things, how he handles Lumaya, and how much of a conflict and how much he teetered on that dark side, that very edge of the dark side from the light during this time. And again, he did not cower. He did not run away. He didn't even want to fight his nephew because he knew he would turn to the dark side.
He didn't even overdose on a cliff like a hobo.
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the some clips and share with you guys, and we'll further go along in this book. And it also shows that Leia and Han are basically siding with Corellia during this conflict, and where Leia plays both sides. Well, she doesn't play. She's on both sides. She maintains herself as a Jedi, uses that excuse that she needs to be a peacemaker, basically, because she's not a diplomat anymore. She's a Jedi Knight here, a full-fledged Jedi Knight, something we should have got to in the Disney trilogy. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to expand a little bit on Boba Fett first. So I'm going to bring that up here. Okay. So let me bring the clip up here. Play clip.
That I hardly notice these days. Some prisoners are defiant, but most give in to fear. He makes me offers all the way back to Atzeri, promising anything to survive. I can pay you millions. The contract is to deliver him alive. It's very specific. And my stock holdings in co-op drive yards. I think it's the silent routine that gets to them in the end. But I have a beautiful daughter. He shouldn't have said that. Now I'm angry. I don't often get angry. Never use your kids, scumbag. Never. Landing on Atzeri is a little tricky when you're holding a crippled fighter on your upper legs. I set Slave 1 down on the landing strip.
All right, I'll hide that now because it's kind of weird looking at. So that was basically one of the very beginning of the novel where we have Boba Fett and he's at work. And I will argue this till I'm blue is that if we got Boba Fett in The Mandalorian as the main character as the Mandalorian, because yes, he is a Mandalorian, and we'll continue to debate that, but he would basically turn in the baby.
Yeah.
He'd be like, this is my job. I took the contract. It's fulfilled. Give me my money. He was a no nonsense guy. Yes, he did have compassion. And there's a part of that clip that I didn't put in there where he's collecting the bounty, that man. And he's like, well, I'll give you my daughter. And he's like, I hate assholes like you, basically, who use their own kids for collateral.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I always like to play, since this is a Karen Traviss novel, It does a lot of exploration on Boba Fett as Mandalore. So he's basically the head ruler, the leader in a sense in the Mandalorian way, you know, and it shows their legacy, his legacy, and how he is following in his father's legacy as a Mandalore. So let's go ahead and expand more on that. I'm going to pull up.
Karen Travis, I believe, writes a lot of military novels.
She does.
She used to be a military photographer,
Yes.
if I remember correctly. She also wrote the Gears of War novels, which is based on a kick-ass video game.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to share another clip and we'll expand on that. There's so much, this novel has so much gems in it that it's hard to cover everything. It's hard to just get behind everything and cover it. Let's see here. I forgot what, I didn't name this clip. Let's see what this is about.
The shrouded man wouldn't leave Luke alone now. The image of the man, cloaked, hooded, anonymous, intent on evil, intruded on his dreams more frequently. Not in the way of normal nightmares, but as a clear vision in the Force. And that was worse than any nightmare. It had the potential to be real, if it wasn't already. He couldn't see the man's face. In his dream, he was chasing him, trying to grab that hood from his face. But he always woke up at the point where he felt his fingers close on the fabric. It felt like lightweight bantha wool. His fingers clutched again. Both the robe and the man dissolved, and Luke woke, heart pounding, fighting a feeling of overwhelming despair and anger at himself for not seeing what was close enough to touch. He decided he wasn't going to get back to sleep, and got up as quietly as he could to avoid waking Mara. With the light that spilled from Galactic City's 24-hour activity and his own Force sense, he didn't need to switch on the lights to pour himself a glass of water. Luke drank while he watched the constant movement of lights from the window. He felt Mara walk up behind him and give him a soothing touch from the doorway, just a brief, warm reassurance at the back of his mind. "You could have made us both a cup of caf," she said. "If we're going to give up sleeping, might as well do it right." "You'd think I'd take times like this in my stride by now." Mara tidied her hair with one hand as she fumbled with the caf dispenser. "Politics? I don't think that ever gets easier. Not when your own family is tied up in it." "It's Ben I'm most worried about. He gave a good account of himself at Centerpoint. But he's 13. Okay, I let him go, but he's still a child. Our child. How old were you when you..."
All right, so that was basically a clip of Luke's vision and his feeling that dark essence, that dark man, who later we discover in, here's the spoilers, it's really Darth Caedus.
Ever notice that Luke has a lot of nightmares in the EU?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't sleep well, does he?
No, but you know, that's who he is. He's the son of the chosen one. He has a lot of responsibility. He has a lot of like Force essence and communicates with the Force so well. So it makes sense. So people in the chat, what do you think about that? You know, do you think this is a better Luke? Do you think that, you know, we see in this conflict, you know, makes, you know, shows us that Luke is still our hero that goes through trials and tribulations and turmoil, yet he still steps up to the ladder, unlike the Jake Skywalker in the Disney trilogy, who just runs away and hides from the Force. So, all right. Let's see here. We do have 18 people in here. Hi, everyone. Anybody coming in, I welcome you. Thank you for coming in. And I hope you're enjoying your choice of drink. You know, we're coming up onto the afternoon now. And I thank you for being here with us. So our discussion here is about the novelization Bloodlines and Legacy of the Force. I recommend that you guys go ahead and start picking up the book. The very first one is Betrayal. Bloodlines, which we are going over right now, is book number 2. And so I recommend you pick up the book or the Audible and join in, or, you know, whatever floats your boat. You can start any which way, but starting from betrayal is the best, and I recommend it. So let's go ahead and take a look at another clip. Some of these I forgot to name here. I have a lot from chapter 10, which means there's probably a lot going on in that one.
I think if you want to get into the EU, start with the Throne trilogy.
Oh yeah, that of course.
Yeah, and then just do everything after the Throne trilogy chronologically.
Yeah, but we also have not Bloodline, sorry. We also have Tatooine Ghost before Throne trilogy, which is a great one to pick up as well.
Yeah, that's right before, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And if you are a big Leia and Han fan, then I suggest to pick that up, because then you get to see firsthand how she accepts her lineage and her Skywalker legacy. And it's a very compelling book. And then you get to see her, how she responds to finding out who her grandmother is. It's amazing. It's an amazing story. Okay, I'm going to read, before we go on to another clip, I'm going to read some of these comments here. Trace XL, I like that we get into his mind and you see the trials and tribulations. It's these things that make a hero, how they encounter and resolve inner and outer conflicts. Yes. And they don't cower. They try to solve, they try to find the solution that's best for them and best for the people that they are leading. And we don't get that in Disney's trilogy.
I think it was George Martin that said the greatest story is the conflict between the human heart and yourself.
Yes.
That's always more interesting when you're and there's nothing like that really in the Disney movies. Well, maybe when Kylo kills Han Solo.
In a sense, yes, but that was kind of like if you look into it, he already made his sacrifice. And we're going to get into this with Jason Solo, because this is where he realized he has to sacrifice something he loves to seal himself in as Darth Caedus. And so with that, Lumaya tells him that he has to kill or sacrifice his love, and he fears that it's going to be Tenokal in his daughter Alana. And so he has that conflict, and he's hiding Tenokal and Alana from Lumaya because he does not want to have to sacrifice them. He does not want her to know about them. And so that has great depth. And we get this wannabe Jason Solo, Kylo Ren, who is like, oh yeah, I'll just kill my father.
Yeah, they just killed him because they, it's a remake of 4 and they needed a Kenobi scene.
Yeah.
So they killed Rey's mentor, which was Han Solo in that movie.
Yes. And so Mr. Grandmaster Luke Skywalker right here says, yes, no Jedi is ever perfect, but we take responsibility. Yes. And that's the thing. And that's the, they basically annihilated the whole plot, the whole story about the Jedi, making them sound like they were just these bumbling fools that didn't know what they were doing. They were corrupt, so this is new Disney stuff. Yes, there were some things that they fell into a dogma state in effect, and that's when we get Luke Skywalker who corrects that. And I think that's what the whole overall thing was about, was Luke's new Jedi Order in the original EU was basically the reflection of what the Jedi should have been and what they were a long time ago before the Order came to be in the prequel trilogy. So that's just my take on that. All right. Wookiee supremacy, still looking for that Octu tidy monster playset from The Last Jedi. You mean the sea cow? You want the sea cow? You want to milk the sea cow? No, I'm joking. Oh Lord, I'm sorry. Mandalore the Mental. If I remember, I started with Jedi Academy and then Thrawn Trilogy and then Truce of Bakura. And that's another thing too, is that Truce at Bakura is a great sequel to Return of the Jedi. So it happens right after, and we get to see Luke Skywalker still hurting from his attack by Palpatine.
I just realized how Luke overdosed.
How's that? Overdose?
Yeah, he overdosed and died in The Last Jedi, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was probably too much sea cow cane.
It killed him. It was too much on his body. It killed his
Yeah,
liver.
yeah,
It made his body weak.
yeah.
Stig is a sage. Hi, Stefan. How are you doing? Wookiee Supremacy Death Troopers is a fun one-shot novel. There's a lot of good books. Even if there's like some you don't like, it still ties in well with the continuity. Everybody's going to have stories in the overall lore of Star Wars that they're going to love and they're going to absolutely hate. That's a given. But when you really think about it, they all tie great as a continuity.
Except Shadows of Mindor.
Oh, yeah.
That
That
one
one
just.
was kind of off center a little bit. I mean, it's almost like it could fit in with The Last Jedi.
I actually think it was intended to be like one of those holo vids. So
Mhm.
we were just reading an episode, but
Yeah.
still, it took me 6 months to read it. I couldn't get into it. It was just pushing.
Yeah, it's like that's what it was. That Luke was like, this is not who I am, who you're perceiving me in these hollow vids. And so this is
Yeah.
where he was trying to figure things out with his own self as a Jedi. And I get that, but I think the author did not execute that quite well.
No, it felt like a filler episode.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yes. And then we have Mandalorian. The Mental Death Troopers was good till they put Han and Chewie show up and got predictable. Anyone that was with them would survive. Of course. They can't kill off the heroes. Wookiee Supremacy. I was actually a little disappointed they were even in the story, but it's still a fun book. Excuse me. Woo. All right, just finished reading Dark Empire. Amazing how much The Rise of Skywalker ripped this off. It did rip it off in a sense, but they allowed Palpatine to live through the explosion. In Dark Empire, he did not live through the explosion. He was a
How
clone.
did his space dust even make it away from Endor? You know, that's something too. You know, his leftovers has to travel, right?
His leftovers. That's a very morbid way to say that.
Yeah. Well, you know, Viking is supposed to be morbid.
Of course. But then, okay, so now we're going to go to the Thrawn trilogy, where Leia goes to meet up with, was it Rook? And was it Rook? Well, anyways, and she's basically in the same area where the Death Star exploded at Endor. That's where they were meeting up. And she basically felt Palpatine's essence there in a sense, or his dark side essence there, where it just basically knocked her out. And I think Rook was the bodyguard of Thrawn. So I got that one wrong.
Yeah, the Nogri.
Yes. Okay. Milking the sea cow attraction coming to Galaxy's Edge. So that is so disgusting. I'm sorry. No. Okay.
Picture them having like a really fat lady sitting there, and you
No.
milk her.
No. Okay. Okay. Let me see here. I lost my spot here. Okay, so we're going to listen to a couple more clips and wrap this up as well, and expand a little bit more on what's going on in Bloodlines. All right, let me get through some of these comments still. Trayla, the one was really kind of weird. I agree. I think it was meant to be a story within a story. Yeah, I think she was talking about Mendor, or he.
Yeah.
Darth Dystopian. I like the Darth Vader trilogy and how it explained upon Revenge of the Sith. Yes, I agree with you. That was a great one. So there is, was it Labyrinth of Evil, Revenge of the Sith, and Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader is the trilogy they're talking about.
Yeah, Dark Lord was the one I read last, actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I love that story, and I love how even Leia is almost in Vader's presence, and how much.
Yes, that bit was suspenseful.
It
Really
was.
suspenseful.
Yes. Oh my God. So if you guys have not read that yet, or go watch my review, pick up the novel. But yes, that part was very compelling because Bail Organa was sweating bullets.
Trace is asking if the courtship of Leia is any good. It is, in my opinion.
And like I said, people are going to have different opinions. It's one of those where it's almost split on people's likes or dislikes. I like it because it gives a lot. There's a lot of world building in there. There is a lot of world building in there. That's why I like it.
It fleshes out the Night Sisters, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we get Tenno Ka or Tenial Joe, which later, we have Tenno Ka, which is the mother of Alana Solo. So it starts building on the stories there with the twins and all that. So, okay. Zahn hated Dark Empire and refused to incorporate it into Thrawn trilogy, so he had to CD after the Thrawn. He had to set it. Yeah, he kind of and what I liked what he did with that, instead of like contradicting it, he just had Mara say, I didn't believe that the Empire or Palpatine really survived. Was that really him? And that's a great point because he was a clone. When you become a clone, it's not really you anymore, and you see that with Sabayoth.
And it was the first clone was created before Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like a twisted version of Palpatine from years before Return of the Jedi anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right.
Kind of like a save game.
Mm-hmm.
You save before, in case you die.
Oh, yeah. The save game. There you go. Hi, Genesis. How are you doing? All right, Wookiee supremacy. That's how they're going to dispense that green milk goop in the park. Laugh out loud. Oh, God, I had to put that up there. That's hilarious. All right, let's get back to...
Probably going to use one of the story group ladies.
The story group can't get their shit straight. Look at what they're doing. Like I said earlier in the stream here, that they said Palpatine's dead, but then he's alive in the movies. So...
I mean, for the milking.
Oh, yes. I mean, I was trying to avoid that part, but yes. All right, let's get back to some clips here. All right. Okay, so Lumaya at the Jedi Temple, I think. Oh, no. This is the one I wanted to play. So if you already viewed my my lore review, that's okay. I'm going to play it again because this is very compelling.
Jason paused again as he walked through the lobby. Jason knew exactly where he was now, and it scared him. He had a finely tuned sense of where he was in space. Had he rolled back time by 59 years to this exact distance from the planet's core, this exact distance from the planet's North Pole, this very point in 3 dimensions, he would have been walking with his grandfather, Anakin Skywalker. But I can walk back in time. Jason could time drift. He was almost too afraid to, but he did, almost without thinking. As he projected himself into the past and merged with its reality, he saw a young blonde Jedi with his lightsaber drawn, flanked by troops in white armor. Jason was looking at him from behind. He could see the muscles in his jaw twitching as his head turned, seeking something. He could feel his dread and determination. Anakin. Anakin Skywalker held his lightsaber two-handed, and for a moment, Jason was one with his grandfather's emotions. He was overwhelmed by a dread and reluctance. The same dread and reluctance he had felt himself when Lumaya told him his destiny. Jason felt, too, a crushing sense of something terrible and deadly about to happen. He touched Anakin's emotions again, comparing them with his own, and then he felt something that was not within him at all. It was desperate, terrified loss. For a second, he couldn't identify it. Then it settled and became clear in the form of a tight sensation in his throat and the pressure of tears behind his eyes that stung and burned. It was very like the brief misery he had felt when he left Tenno Ka and his daughter. Anakin was facing separation from Padme and was terrified by it. But it wasn't a moment's emotion for his grandfather. It was the whole...
All right. I got alerts going on. People are posting on YouTube right now. So that basically goes back into Jason Solo when he went on his 5-year hiatus to study other forest societies. I'm going to turn this down because I'm echoing. He learned how to flow walk, and that basically he was able to go into the past or the future to view what the events that's going on there, almost like a vision, but being there almost physically. And so that's what he did. He went and glimpsed into what his grandfather did. He learned about what happened through R2 and Darkness Trilogy, because R2 was slowly giving information about what was going on, or what happened during Revenge of the Sith. And so Jason flow walks to the past and views Anakin Skywalker slaying the younglings and feeling his pain and where it's coming from. So this is very compelling. I believe the flow walk was Angting monk that he learned from. I could be wrong. There's about 5 or 6 Force societies that Luke visited, that are 4 or 5 that Luke visited in Fate of the Jedi when he was put in exile, retracing Jason's path. And so that's very, very compelling. He did not, again, he used the Force in such a great capacity, but we didn't see Jason Solo die. So that's where I get disconnected from Disney's trilogy, is that, you know, if you use too much of it, you die. And so I think it's very, very compelling, this thing. So Stig, what did you think about that?
Sorry, I was lost in thought. It just struck me that when people were hired to write EU books, right? They had already been on the New York's bestseller list before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Terry Brooks, he's been one since the '70s, and Bob Salvatore wrote Attack of the Clones and Vector Prime. He's been a New York bestseller plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
And the writers they hire now, it's who's heard of them?
Yeah.
They become a New York bestseller author because of the Star Wars book.
Mm-hmm.
They've just written. Nobody's heard of them before.
Yeah. Yes. And so what do you think about Jason's flow walk and viewing his grandfather's slaughter and feeling and sensing why he had to do it, or why he did it?
I always thought flow walking was a bit overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
I know you should be able to do anything with the Force, but I think maybe too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like glimpses would have been fine, but not actually being there and feeling everything. And
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. I thought it was too OP.
Okay. And so we'll get to the point then on this, is that, you know, when discussing Disney trilogy and everybody has a Force, now they can do anything and everything that we see. When we get to the original EU, not everybody has those abilities, and this is one of them. He is the only one who knows, besides the society, Force society he learned from, he is the only one that can do this and has the strength to do this. And so, yes, I agree with you on that, but I also see it as, you know, that this is a talent that, and I don't call Force a power. And so I just, like, nowadays people are saying, oh, well, if you have the Force power, it's a talent.
Yeah.
It's an ability that you, and not everybody has the same talent and ability with the Force. That's what makes it so unique. And so that's how
sounds like a video game, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You just leveled up and pick a power.
Exactly. And that's how I see Jason, is that even between him and his twin, they have different abilities. And I love that.
Yeah, they actually do explain it well, though. Yeah. Which is something Disney never did.
Yes, exactly. All right. So let's see, Trace. I would expect flow walking to be a far more taxing on the user than perhaps meditating and seeing a vision of a point in time. Yes. And so we get we know that, and I've said this before. I wish, and if Disney wouldn't have bought, maybe we would have got it. It's just a speculation of mine. Is stories of Jason Solo on his hiatus. Hi, Script Doctor. How are you doing? And I would have loved to have a series of books during that time when Jason went on his hiatus and learned from the different societies. And then we probably could understand a little bit more about his path and how he was conflicted and wanted to use the dark side to save the galaxy. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. So what do you think, Stig?
Yeah, I think he just used everything as a means to an end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He got damaged during the use on Long Wars, really. So
he did.
His perspective turned more and more extreme, I guess.
Yes.
But I don't know. I really like that series, though.
Yes, exactly. I do too. And that's why we're covering it. It's a great addition to what we've been seeing with Disney Star Wars. So it's a great thing to revisit, to reestablish our love for Luke Skywalker and for the lore. And so that's why I'm doing this. All right. So I'm going to go through a couple more comments. We're going to review one more clip and then we're going to call it a day. I have things to do. So thank you guys. So I'm going to read through these right here. Mandalore the Mental. I'm with Stig. When I first heard the flow walking, I thought it was that too. I don't mind it, but it's rare and not everyone can do it. Luke had to actually learn it. Yeah, he learned it, but so did Jason. Jason had to go find the Force society and learned it from them. He just didn't automatically just do it because. That's something he learned on his hiatus. O.G.Starwars, you're echoing a little bit. Yeah, I know. I seen that, and I think it's because I had the volume up loud for the sake of the clip, so I'm turning it down.
She's streaming from Echo Base.
Yes, from Echo Base. All right, Script Doctor, I'm doing well. Slow day at work, doing some writing while learning about the EU from you and all. Thank you. I love it. That's why I'm here. All right. Mandalore the Mental. Flow walking, you had to be quiet too because people in the past could hear you if they listened. Yeah. Well said, OG. Thank you. All right, author Stefan. Great streaming, guys. Thank you so much. Smash that like button. Yes, what Christy said, smash that like button, everybody. We have 22 people in here. Let's go ahead and review one more clip and wrap this up. All right. Let's see here. Now, which one do I want?
Optimism's fast, don't we? Sorry. It's code for come in here and let me read you the riot act.
Okay, we'll do.
It's code for we want to talk to you about Ben in private. Jason inclined his head politely and suppressed his detectable feelings further so that he presented quiet bewilderment to Luke and Mara. The doors of the side room closed behind them. Where is Ben? Luke asked. Captain Shivu is keeping an eye on him at the barracks. Mara spoke.
All right, so that right there is basically showing the conflict with, I hope you guys heard that, with Luke's reasoning on having been under the tutelage of Jason Solo and seeing how much Jason is turning in the Force. And so this book, again, is a great thing of sharing conflict with Luke Skywalker, him sensing the dark side coming close to him. He also senses Lumaya when Jason Solo takes her to the Jedi Temple. So that's another thing right there that was amazing and very compelling as well, and suspenseful, because Luke senses her in a way, but she is disguised, and through Jason, she's also put in like a little force bubble so Luke can't detect her, and Jason is testing her ability, testing her right there.
Maya is also marvelously retro, because I remember her being in the old Marvel Star Wars comics from the 80s.
Yes. Yes.
So that's a very cool callback they did.
Yes.
By bringing her back, because they never killed her in the old comics.
No, and I was going to get that to so great point. You know, she was a love interest of Luke, and Luke had several before Mara, several or a few before Mara. And she was one of them, but she was also a spy. And so when Luke was in battle and she was joining them in battle, he allowed the Force to guide him to shoot the enemy out of space, out of the sky. And he ends up shooting her down. And he almost gets reprimanded by it. You know, everything turns out fine for him. I'm not going to give too much spoilers, but then Vader takes her under his wing.
Yeah, she's basically a light version of Vader in the sense that she's all cyborg almost as well.
Exactly.
She gets messed up when Luke shoots her because she's in a TIE fighter, and you know what happens to TIE fighters when they get shot? They blow up pretty
They get
pretty
damaged.
extensively. Oh yeah.
That's why when I watch The Mandalorian and watching the TIE fighter go down and you see it basically burst into flames off in the distance, and then he Gideon or whatever his name is survives, I was like, what?
Probably wearing a seatbelt.
Crash. They're like the safety stuff comes out, everything.
Yeah.
Oh God. But yeah.
Airbag in there.
All right. And so you guys, thank you so much for tuning in here. So there's some more clips, some that were revisited, some that weren't. Pick up the novelization Bloodlines if you want to learn more. Oh, and I didn't even talk about Boba Fett's family. Yes, he has a family, and it's very tragic. People think, oh, well, he just abandoned them. There's a reason why he left. There's a reason why he got banned from seeing his family. I mean, it's very compelling. I will expand on that story later on. There's a reason why his daughter, his granddaughter are conflicted, and he shares this, and he's very ashamed of how he went through all this. Very, very compelling. But, so you learn more about Boba Fett here as well, and him having a family. And you learn about Leia and Han's conflict between, joining Corellia, and then also Wedge 2 being with Corellia, even Corran Horn. There's so many different compelling little arcs in here. It's a very great book to read. So pick it up, you guys, or pick up the Audible. Audible's not going to give you exactly everything point by point, but it'll give you the plot. So I always recommend reading the novel first if you have the time. If not, pick up the Audible and listen to it. Hi, Abunas. Thank you for coming. Trace, thank you for coming. Christy, thank you. Everybody here, Mr. Dystopian Wookiee Supremacy, thank you. Stig for coming in and chatting with me about this. Soul Assassin, everybody. We had about up to 20, 25 people at one point. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Script Doctor. I am very honored and thankful to be here for you guys discussing the original lore. Next book is, what is it called again? Sometimes I get them out of order when it comes to off my head. Is Tempest. So we get it, Ten O'Call in this one. So the next one. So please pick up the book Tempest by Troy Denning, or the Audible, so we can stay on track with this. This is not exactly a book club that I'm doing here, but I am reviewing and discussing this book along with a lot of EU and how well it's tied in, which you guys already know by how I explain things. So
whatever you're doing, though, it's fun and interesting. So keep it up.
Yes. Yeah, and so I have to take off now. Thank you, Stig, for coming in and talking about Maul a little bit more. Like I said, I will pick up the book. He's not my favorite character, but because of my platform, I do need to, get into the book. And I probably will, learn to respect his character a little bit more by picking up that book.
Yeah, if you like Terminator 1, you're going to like this book.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people. So I have to live up to what I say, is that don't bash it until you try it. Then make an opinion.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't add it doesn't add much to the overall story, but it's just it's a kick-ass action movie almost.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So you guys, I do have merch. purchasing the merch helps support me in this channel off of Redbubble. I will have it down in the descriptions here by today. I did have it in the live stream. I believe Christy or someone shared it as well. You can pick up mugs. You can pick up t-shirts. I think I have other few items in there as well. It's on Redbubble. So again, that helps me out greatly and supports the channel. Again, like, share, and you guys all have a great day. Thank you so much, Stig. And may the force be with you guys.
Thank you for having me on.